1800 hours Pakistan Standard Time. Assalamu alaikum. This is Radio Pakistan. The news read by Daman Zaman. The headlines. The Prime Minister says his government's environment policies are driven solely by commitment to our future generations of a clean and green Pakistan. The federal government has approved the first of its kind SR Secondary Education Conditional Cash Transfer Program to enable the deserving households to send their children to schools. Pakistan and China have expressed the commitment to utilize the concept of blue economy to further strengthen economic ties under CPAC. The All Parties Hurriyat Conference leadership has welcomed the decision of Pakistan's cabinet linking trade with India's restoration of special status of the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. In Myanmar, 5 more people were killed when security forces opened fire on protesters in Moniva town today. The second one-day cricket international of the 3-match series between Pakistan and South Africa will be played in Johannesburg tomorrow. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Imran Khan has said his government's environment policies are driven solely by commitment to our future generations to provide them a clean and green Pakistan by mitigating the impact of climate change. In his tweets today, he expressed surprise over Pakistan not being invited to the climate change conference. He said our initiatives include Green Pakistan, 10 billion tree tsunami, nature-based solutions, cleaning up the rivers, etc. The Prime Minister said we have gained vast experience in 7 years, beginning with Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and our policies are being recognized and lauded. He said Pakistan is ready to help any state wanting to learn from our experience. The Prime Minister said he has already laid out priorities for the United Nations Climate Change Conference 2021 COP26 if the international community is serious about countering the impact of climate change. The Finance Minister of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Taimur Salim Jhagra, called on Prime Minister Imran Khan in Islamabad today and discussed the financial matters of the province. The Minister for Planning and Development, Asad Omar, has said every country has a right to take decisions to safeguard the health of its citizens. In a tweet, he said the recent decision by the British government to add some countries, including Pakistan, on the red list raises a legitimate question whether choice of countries is based on science or foreign policy. Meanwhile, addressing a ceremony at the Federation of Pakistan Chambers of Commerce and Industries in Karachi today, Asad Omar said an important phase of China-Pakistan economic corridor has been started that will generate employment opportunities in the country. He said Chinese investment under CPAC in the industrial zones will help in stabilizing the national economy. A meeting chaired by the Special Assistant to the Prime Minister on Poverty Alleviation, Dr. Sania Nishtar, in Islamabad today approved the first of its kind SR Secondary Education Conditional Cash Transfer Program. The program will enable the deserving households to send their children to secondary schools and is scheduled to be rolled out nationwide in July this year. According to a press statement, the program will be implemented in close coordination with the provincial education departments to avoid duplication. Children of the underprivileged households will be provided quarterly cash grants of 2,500 rupees for boys and 3,000 rupees for girls on fulfillment of 70% attendance in schools. Pakistan and China have expressed the commitment to utilize the concept of blue economy to further strengthen economic ties under the China-Pakistan economic corridor. The commitment was expressed during a meeting between the Chinese ambassador to Pakistan, Non Rong, who called on the Minister for Maritime Affairs, Syed Ali Haidarzadi, in Islamabad today. They discussed bilateral cooperation in the maritime sector and matters pertaining to fully operationalize the Gwadar ports. Pakistan has called for the resolution of conflicts and disputes like Jammu and Kashmir to promote peace and security in the region. Addressing a virtual session of conference on interaction and confidence-building measures in Asia, Pakistan's permanent representative to the United Nations, Munir Akram, said Jammu and Kashmir dispute is a major threat for conflict between two nuclear states. The Pakistani envoy said Chinese Belt and Road Initiative and China-Pakistan Economic Corridor are connectivity projects and can contribute greatly to the promotion of economic and social development for the people of the entire region and beyond. This is Radio Pakistan. In the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, the All Parties Hurriyat Conference leaders and the Jammu and Kashmir Democratic Political Movement chairman Khwaja Firdaus have welcomed the decision of the Pakistani cabinet linking trade with India to the restoration of special status of the illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. In their separate statements, they said under the international pressure, India often initiate talks with Pakistan to buy time and use cheap tactics to perpetuate its illegal occupation of Jammu and Kashmir. Meanwhile, the leaders of the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir parties, including Umar Abdullah, Mahbooba Mufti and others, have started mutual contacts to launch an agitation for the restoration of pre-August 5, 2019 situation in the occupied territory. In their recent statements and tweets, these leaders emphasize that they will fight to protect Jammu and Kashmir from the cultural onslaught of the Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangh. On the other hand, the All Parties Hurriyat Conference has strongly condemned the havoc caused by the Indian troops in Kakapura area of Pulwama. The police also assaulted photojournalists who were covering the anti-India demonstrations in the area. The APHC leaders appealed to the world community to take cognizance of the Indian brutalities in the occupied territory. The Indian troops launched a cordon-and-search operation in Churiki Gali area of South Kashmir's Shopaiya district today. An Indian writer of a magazine on national security and defense, Force, Praveen Swami, says Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov's upcoming visit to Pakistan shows Islamabad's successful foreign policy. In a tweet, he said Lavrov's visit to Pakistan after India shows that Pakistan's successful foreign policy is pivoted on prosperity and connectivity. He said Pakistan has not given up on Kashmir. It has found a peaceful way to get there. In Myanmar, at least 5 more people were killed when security forces opened fire on protesters in central town of Muniva today. Despite the killing of more than 550 people by the security forces since the military coup in February, protesters are coming out every day, often in smaller groups in smaller towns, to voice opposition to the reimposition of the military rule. The United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has condemned in the strongest terms the attack on peacekeepers serving with the United Nations mission in Mali. Stefan Dujarric, the spokesman of the UN Secretary-General, in a statement said Antonio Guterres has recalled that attacks targeting peacekeepers may constitute war crimes under the international law and that sanctions can be applied against those responsible. The Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman Saeed Khatibzadeh says Tehran is opposed to any gradual easing of sanctions. In a statement carried out by the Iranian state television, he said definitive policy of Iran is the lifting of all American sanctions. South Korea's foreign minister has expressed the hope that China would play a role in peacekeeping between South and North Koreas. In a statement, Zhang Yuyong also invited China's President Xi Jinping to visit Seoul as soon as the novel coronavirus stabilizes. Cricket, the second one-day international of the 3-match series between Pakistan and South Africa, will be played at Johannesburg today. The match will start at 1300 hours Pakistan Standard Time. Pakistan lead the 3-match series 1-0. And finally, the weather. Mainly hot and dry weather will persist in most parts of the country during the next 12 hours. However, rain, wind, thunderstorm is expected in Upper Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Gilgit-Baltistan, Kashmir and surrounding hilly areas during evening and night hours. And that is the end of this news bulletin. For more news and analyses, log on to our website, radio.gov.pk, and you can also watch the live video streaming of our bulletins on the link facebook.com/Radio Pakistan News Official.